Here's the formula for creating record revenue months within your business. Every single time that I have a record month within my business, I have a Google Doc with a bunch of questions where I'm asking myself things about what am I doing for marketing, what have I been doing for sales, what have I been doing for my client fulfillment, how is my mindset, how have I been showing up? There's a host of questions, and I'll link that document around the description so you can use it, you can take it for your own self and come up with your own formula. But I'm going to give you this formula. Now, over the last few months, we've had so many clients breaking revenue records within their business for me giving them this exact formula that I'm going to give to you today. And I've interviewed all of them. And I've asked them, I'm like, what are the things that you're doing? And there are 4 to 5 very consistent things that each one of them are doing, including myself, that I've done in the past to hit record months. And I think this is where the saying, success leaves clues, comes from. And so I want to give you these clues that all of them are doing to create these record revenue months. And this is where the basis of the formula comes from. So one client, depending on where you are, because a record month can mean many different things to people, but like depending on where you are, we had one client, she was just starting, so she was literally at zero. And 2.5 months later, she's crossed over $10,000 in her business. Another client, her previous record was 11K. And she just doubled her business and she crossed over 20,000. I think she's at 21,000. And then we had another client, and this is all of these clients are in like health and fitness and stuff like that, serving like weight loss and stuff like that. We had another client, so she was bouncing between $10,000 to $15,000 per month. And she did hit a record month in October, where she hit 19,500. And then this past month, she just crossed over $70,000 in her business, in sales. It's freaking incredible. And so I grabbed all of the principles from my own record month formula and from all of theirs, and I'm going to give to you the 4 to 5 that are very, very common amongst all of them. Now, something to note here, because this is going to, if this, maybe you're going to nod your head along that this has probably happened to you before, but this is very common when people do hit record months in their business. And you'll even see this, like if you serve people in weight loss or whatever, however you serve people, you're going to see this is true with all of your clients. When somebody like hits a record revenue month in their business, or they lose a bunch of weight, or they achieve this goal, what happens with a lot of people, they stop doing the thing that got them there. They fall into this like illusion of good enough. The good enough illusion, we call it. They just kind of stop doing what was working, and they don't consciously realize that, at least from my experience when I've done this, I haven't consciously realized what I'm doing until I become aware of like, holy crap, right? I haven't actually been doing the things that were getting me to this record month before. And you only know that if you're like tracking your activities and you're super aware, which is why I highly recommend anytime you have a record month, you get it all out on paper so you can repeat your own successful actions. But nonetheless, here's what everybody's been doing. The first thing is sharpening up their messaging and their positioning. And here's what I mean. We all have a message, right? If you're out there online right now, you're posting content, you're doing marketing, you're putting words out there, whether it's via content, advertising, just content with money behind it, whatever, right? You're going to networking events, whatever you're doing, you're putting stuff out there. The problem is right now, especially if you're running an online business, then especially if you're running an online coaching business, especially if you're in like the weight loss space or the business space or whatever, like there's so much competitive. There's so much competition, right? There's so many other people saying the exact same thing as you. And so where a lot of people have a hard time generating consistent revenue, let alone record months, is like their marketing is like competing with millions of other posts. In fact, there are over 300 million pieces of content published every single day across social media platforms. Right? And so the thing that like all of my clients and myself have done to create record months, and this is a foundational piece, it's an evolution. Like it's not a one and done. Like you'll continue to work at this, but it's like really putting attention into their messaging, which is the words they're using to communicate their offer to their market, right? So it's like the market message match thing. We want to make sure that you have a message that stands you apart. And that's where positioning comes in. Like how you are perceived to your market. Does that make sense? And so when you can get those things down, I've done full trainings on these things, so I'm not going to go super in depth, but that is like super key. That's the first thing, right? Your messaging and positioning. The second thing here is what we call the money making moves. The money making moves. It is doubling down and really developing the skill sets and putting the systems in place around. Here's what I mean. There's like 4 key money-making moves in an online coaching business. You've got, or really 5. You've got like how you drive traffic to your page. You've got your content, right? You posting content. You've got like your DM conversations, how you're communicating with other humans. And you've got like making offers for calls, making offers on calls, following up, things like that, right? And then of course you've got like your fulfillment, which is more of like a money maintenance type move, but it's like your fulfillment, your things like that, which kind of feed into retention. We're not going to get there. I just did a video, I think last week, on the 5 core functions of a business. You can watch that video. My point being is the money-making moves, most people just do them haphazardly. Like they're not like they're okay at them, right? They're okay at content. They're okay at DMs, but they're not that good. They're just like, okay. And that is never going to get you to a record month. So what all of my clients have done is we installed a conversion content system in place, meaning we're putting a content system versus one-off post. So we actually put a system in place to where their content strategy is built around like really good hooks, really good story, and really good call to actions that lead their audience to a conversion event, which everybody's different. For some, they're workshops, some do live training, some do challenges, some do master classes, some do events, right? But the point is like we have a really like well-oiled, tight content system that has really good hooks, really good story, and really good call to action that lead their audience to a conversion event or into their DMs or to a lead magnet of some sorts. And that's been one thing. And then of course there's, but there is the lead nurture system. All of them have been like, dude, the lead nurture system has changed my life, changed my business. A lead nurture system is going from like just randomly scrolling through your feed, your messenger inbox, your DMs, and like just messaging people, to having a well-organized system to where you know where your hottest leads are, you know where they are in the pipeline. We've refined scripts for how to communicate, how to follow up. And it's very organized, very systematic, very strategic, where we're nurturing your audience. All of them have started to hit record months from that process alone, right? So it's like the money-making moves, getting better at the skill sets of like copywriting, of prospecting, of lead nurture, of making offers. That is absolutely key, right? And so the money-making moves. The third thing is mindset. Mindset. As entrepreneurs, we're always going to go through these ebbs and these flows, right? And what kills a lot of businesses is when they go into the inevitable ebbs, when they hit the failures, when their revenue goes down a little bit, when they start to lose some clients, they freak out. They get stressed out, and they lose a lot of creativity. They lose a lot of momentum in their business, and it's key. And all of these clients were in an ebb previous to their record months. And what got them out of it, and all of them have said this, and this has been true for me too, is that like working on their mindset and their emotional state has been one of the things that's helped them get out of it. And so here's what I mean. Like where you are right now in business is where you are. Like your current thinking, Think and Grow Rich, right? There's like the whole, like what we think comes down into our nervous system and creates an emotion, right? We're not going to get into that. Like eventually, like your nervous system can hold on to emotions and recreate thoughts, and you kind of live in this like identity, this paradigm. But the thing is like leveling up how you think about certain things, how you think about business as a whole, how you think about booking calls, how you think about generating money, how you think about creating content. That all matters. And they've all like become super aware about how they think about these things. And that's helped to change their emotional state. And so they're all doing things like some of them sit in silence. Like me, I love to sit in silence for like 20 minutes a day, just being present. They're walking a lot. They're really taking care of their physiology. Like they're just moving, they're getting out, they're moving about. They're really taking care of their physiology, their psychology, right? I've said this before as a quote that I love. Tony Robbins says it. Success is 80% psychology, 20% skills, right? So you need both, but a lot of it's up here. And so that's been the third major thing that they've done, is really taking care of their mindset and their emotional state in keeping themselves, even when they're in an ebb. Like, and if you look at like the, and I have this on my wall over here, there's like the emotional scale, the levels of consciousness is what it is. You may be in a state, right, when you're in an ebb where you start to go into fear, or, maybe you're like getting stressed or whatever. That's a lower consciousness. And so you don't need to be like happy-go-lucky and enlightened and shit like that. But what you do want to be is you want to get yourself placed to a place of neutral, to a place of courage even, or maybe even acceptance. So you're accepting what's going on right now. You're having the courage to move forward, and you're focusing on your message, your positioning. You're focusing on your money-making moves, at getting better at the things. Like, it's just like if somebody's trying to lose weight. They're trying to do all these other things except for just focus on their nutrition and their movement and like working out and stuff, And then if they just focus on doubling down on those things, they're going to get fit. It's the same thing in business. So it's like, but our mindset and our emotional state is what leads us astray, right? And so when you can really focus in on these things of being present, of, sitting in silence, of, I love to journal, and I'll literally write out, like, what am I thinking right now? So you could try this. You could put a timer on at home, for every couple hours or whatever, and stop and be like, what have I been feeling? Maybe you're like, I'm feeling awesome. Then cool, move on. But if you're like, I'm feeling stressed, or I'm overwhelmed right now, or I'm overthinking something, then stop for a minute and be like, what thoughts are preceding that? And maybe you're like, well, I was going to DM and I felt salesy, or whatever, it comes up for you. Write it down. And then I want you to start I want you to be the attorney, be the investigator behind it, and start to look for this truth. Start to look for the things that are like, oh yeah, that's total BS. Like, that's a limiting belief, right? And start to do that with yourself, and start to get yourself back to a place of neutral. Then start taking action and doubling down on the money-making moves, getting better at the skills of copywriting, getting better at your content creation, getting better at DMing and booking calls, getting better at making offers. When you do this, and then getting better at messaging positioning from a place, from a higher vibration, from a higher consciousness, from a higher frequency, that's like one of the big keys, right? So anyways, my friend, that is what they have been doing. Those are the key fundamental things that they have been doing is message positioning. They're sharpening it up, really standing out to their niche, to their audience, to their avatar, and creating kind of like an audience of one, if you will. They're focused on their money-making moves, getting better at the skills, and installing like the right systems, specifically like a content system and a lead nurture system. Those have been the two biggest things that have helped contribute to these record months. And then working on their mindset and all of the things that help with their physiology, with managing their state, their thinking, and continuing to level that up. So if you have any questions on this, let me know below. I have so many different resources. I've done so many like workshops and individual trainings on each one of these topics. So I'll be more than happy to hook you up with something if you feel like you need improvement in one of those areas. But those are the keys to the record month formula. And again, we can get nitty gritty. Like if I opened up my record month formula, like I know I love to ice plunge. That's one of the things that I do consistently when I have record months. I like to walk 15 to 20,000 steps a day. Like for me, that's good, but it all falls in these buckets, right? So you may have some specifics. Maybe you're eating a certain way. Maybe you're, I don't know. You see what I'm saying? But that's why you want to become really aware of your own successful actions. What I shared with you are more of like the principles and things that everybody that has record months in my world has in place before they hit the record months. So my friend, remember, ebbs and flows are normal. The point here is we want to control the ebbs and we want to control the flows. And if we can do that, you will be successful and have a wildly profitable business that impacts hundreds, thousands, maybe even millions of lives. All right, my friends, as always, remember your message matters now more than it ever has before. Don't be afraid to speak it. As always, be seen, be heard, and be impactful.